I still remember the crash. We were in the air, researching the death of a woman who was said to have killed herself. Then out of nowhere, a bright flash came and the helicopter lost control, crashing into the ground. Lynn, my wife, was taken by some cultists. They follow a guy named Papa Knoth, who seems to think Lynn's pregnant with the Antichrist and wants to kill her and sacrifice her to God. I ran into some heretics who were fighting the cultists, but they all just seem to want to kill me and my wife. I have to get her back and get the hell out of here. I just hope we can make it out alive. Hey guys, Thomas from wisegamer.com here, bringing my first impressions review of Outlast 2. I've been streaming it on beam.pro/wisegamer for a couple days now, and I have to say the story's really fascinating and intriguing to me. You play as Blake Langerman, a cameraman for your wife, Lynn, who's an investigative journalist. While exploring the forest of Arizona for a story about a woman who was possibly murdered, your helicopter crashes and you're left alone to find your wife. As the story progresses, without giving away too many spoilers, you find out that she was taken by cultists led by Papa Knoth, a sadistic religious leader who has been leading a group of followers while sacrificing animals, men, women, children, and even infants. Knoth is spouting lies to his flock, stating that Lynn is carrying the Antichrist in her womb, and God wants you dead. In the same style as Outlast and the Whistleblower DLC, you're unable to attack, and your only options are to run, hide, or die. Outlast 2 carries on the tradition of the previous Outlast title and its DLC, but it's evolved the style of horror a bit. Instead of following a fairly linear path of an insane asylum where you're kind of confined in different corridors, you're actually instead in more of an open environment with multiple places to explore. This isn't an open world game by any means, but you definitely don't feel like you're stuck on the straight path as much as you do in other linear titles in the same type of genre. By evolving horror, what I really mean is the developers literally struck out to break you down psychologically. The game's actually listed in the Steam store page as a horror game, but also a psychological horror game, as a genre category of psychological horror. After playing this for about 4 hours worth of game time, I can definitely understand what they meant. Your character Blake suffers from these flashbacks of a whole separate or possibly tied in storyline from his youth of 4th grade, and constantly is encountering these crazy cultists and the remains of different bodies that were sacrificed or otherwise mutilated. It's insane. I mean, the game definitely has the typical jump scares that you get in horror games or horror movies even, but it's scary on a whole nother level that's really hard to put into words. I mean, for example, you have to rely on finding batteries to keep the night vision on your camera working, and that's like the only method that you have to be able to see in the dark when there's no other light sources. You can't fight back like you can in, say, Resident Evil or something like that, so you literally have to run or hide, otherwise you're gonna die. And even in hiding, you're not always safe. I was hiding in a bookcase one time, or not a bookcase, excuse me, a cabinet, and literally I thought I was safe in there, and a guy wound up ripping the cabinet door open and finding me and killing me. And, you know, the batteries too, they aren't easy to find by any means either. You kind of have the sense of panic of knowing that your battery is running low on your camera, and that's enough motivation to really push me onward and wanting to continue on even though I was scared to go. Overall, I mean, I really don't want to spoil too much of the gameplay because this is a story-driven game, but the game's really good in my opinion. I can't wait to continue streaming it. Now, visually, the game's beautiful. I mean, beautiful is probably not the best word choice because the game's full of gore, violence, grotesque mutilated bodies, sexual themes, carcasses, just overall creepy environments that are really sickening, but it's beautiful because it's all really well done in that sense. I mean, all the elements are done well, they all kind of come together in a cohesive theme. And they act as this way to really draw you into this immersion, basically, of this environment of both the cultist and the sacrificial religion that they're doing here. It's really interesting. You really feel that you're in the middle of nowhere, stumbling through this cultist camp, basically, or this territory that they have. And you just have death and decay all around you. The developers even put in extra thought into the little things, like adding maggots and flies to dead bodies or just piles of meat and intestines. And I mean, your character even has like this animation where he swats flies as you get close to a body. So it's like all those little touches like that really show that they put some extra thought into it. Now, moving into the audio, we all know that the horror genre would really be nothing without sound. I mean, the same artist that did all the effects for the first Outlast game worked on Outlast 2, and he said he really wanted to outdo himself, and he really thought he did. He brought again, you know, that psychological horror aspect. The music heightens your sense as you're about to get a jump scare, but even more so, it just does this intensifying effect as you get this kind of ominous feeling of every time there's a reveal of seeing a dead body or a crucified body or something like that. You know, if you get spotted, of course, then, you know, you have to run and hide from these people that are trying to kill you, and there's this really heightened chase music type thing. It's the little things that were done right here as well though too. Just like with the visuals, there's like cool little features. For example, you can turn on your camera's microphone and you can listen to the audio from that. It's a way to be able to tell where people are walking around through walls or while you're hiding to see if there's someone right outside the cabinet that you're hiding in or the barrel that you're hiding in. It's really crazy. I mean, even in the complete darkness without night vision on, you actually get a full 360 sound from the microphone and the camera, and you can determine if someone's on your right or left or something like that. You know, the little touches with the creaks in the wooden planks, the sounds of stepping on shattered glass, walking over hay, and just so much more, they all sound perfect, and it really plays into that immersion. Replayability is probably the only area I can't speak to with certainty right now. If you're a fan of horror games, you might find yourself wanting to go back for more, but for me personally, I rarely play horror games as I literally get way too scared to play them. If it wasn't for being able to live stream this game, I honestly don't think I'd be playing it outside of the footage I got for the review. I mean, I'd love to, it's a great game, but I would just get too scared. That said, I think my general rule of thumb for games like this applies, in which, you know, it's a story-driven game, the story is great, but not all gamers will want to go back and play through the same story over and over again, so, you know, your mileage may vary on how much replay value you get for it. Now, overall, wrapping everything up, I really have enjoyed Outlast 2. I never really played the first Outlast game, or even the acclaimed Whistleblower DLC that got released for it, but I watched different Let's Plays of it here and there, and, you know, on YouTube and things like that, and really, the game seems to be living up to the hype for those who enjoy the horror category. The gameplay's a lot of fun, it's even challenging at times, and it really does leave me checking over my shoulder more often due to the suspense and the horror nature of it. The visuals and audio play perfectly together to immerse you into the game's world and theme, and again, the developers really made sure to hit the little things to add that extra little touch. Outlast 2 came out yesterday, April 25th of 2017, and I'll have the link down below so you can pick it up on Steam if you're interested. Otherwise, I've been Thomas with wisegamer.com. Don't forget to subscribe for more reviews and follow me at beam.pro/wisegamer to see me stream games like this and many more. Thanks, we'll see you next time.